And I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's nothing, but it's a little bit more confusing than the rest of the site, honestly, or the app. It just doesn't look as clean as, let's say, the account tab or anything like that. But it's the first iteration, so I'm not gonna give them too hard of a time. Also, I don't know what's up with these messages. Like they got rid of the history, and they just kind of made these messages and make it look like a chat room. It is Thursday. It's Thursday. Well, it's probably Friday morning where you're at right now. By the time you're seeing this, but it's still no. It's not Thursday. It's Friday morning. It's 12:43 a.m. So it's kind of early slash late, whatever you want to take a look at it, however you want to think of it. So this is the video log that takes 30,000 to a million. That was a crappy intro, I understand, but I don't like to redo things. So this is the video log that takes 30,000 to a million. This is, I don't know what episode it is already. It's like 200 something, maybe 216. It's been a lot of episodes so far, and I'm not setting a new all-time high today. Things are moving though in the correct direction, except a bit slower than I anticipated, mainly because of how the market has had such an enormously large bullish pattern here. Sorry, I gotta always turn off my heater and stuff. This is a disaster, but I don't want to redo it. I don't want to redo it. Okay, so mainly because the market's been so unpredictably strong. All right, that's the main reason I think my progress has been slow. I've been hoping to take advantage of more of a sideways move, and it just has not materialized. Most of the move has been to the upside, pretty strong in a strong way. But I will talk about something that I found that I think is interesting, a mechanic that's been happening to appear in the market. I want to talk about that. And also, I want to show you the cash management feature. I finally got accepted for the cash management Robinhood feature. And I want to show you what that looks like on the browser and also maybe on the phone. You can't see it very well on the phone, but I'll just give you a quick glance. So on the browser, first of all, my account is sitting at $78,693. I sold one of my debit spreads that I put on, and I profited about $300 off of that. And here's the other one, which is also up about 300, but I haven't sold that one yet, and I might sell it tomorrow depending on how I go. So oh, there we go. I sold for $360 down here, so you can see it in the history. So I'm hoping to sell this one for about 300 or more. We'll see what happens. Now this is the account. I have that option trade. I also have a bunch of other options going on right now, mostly selling puts, and of course a lot of them running on Chemical. You can pause on any of these positions if you want to take a look at them. It says the symbol and the number of shares I have for that symbol right underneath. So you can make your own calculations. You can look them up, find the prices if you're really interested, and see what I own. There are all of them. All of them were pretty subtle, small moves today. Chemical, of course, $64 here, but only because I have so many shares, such a big position. But everything was fairly calm for the most part. Market's up 0.59. I was up a little bit more than the market, mostly because of the Apple trades. And apparently, the coronavirus did not beat out Apple earnings. Apple earnings came in 10% higher than the estimate for the earnings, which is a really, really, really big beat, considering the fact that it is their biggest earnings report of the year. And they really crushed it with the iPhone 11s. And I thought they would. It's just that I didn't think that the rise of Apple would be so drastic. So I didn't really play it as much as I should have, which, I mean, obviously I'm kind of regretting now. I should have had such a stronger position on Apple than I did. I should have played more options. I should have bought calls, and I regret not doing that. But hindsight is 2020, and so is this year. And I don't know how that was supposed to be a joke, but I guess I can laugh at it. So the other thing I want to show you here, besides the account, is I want to update, of course, on what's going on with this cash management thing. So I want to show you on the website what it looks like. You press on cash over here, and of course it tells you your buying power and withdraw or spend. So, excuse me, no reduce. I'm not cutting it out. I'm gonna have to deal with my sleepy self. So 17,904 buying power, but 1,000 of those is margin, and so I have really $16,900 at the moment that is being that Robinhood's going to be paying me interest on, and so far I've earned over here it says 82 cents. I'm not sure if that's over a day or two. If I had a calculator, might be able to calculate it. I think that's for a day. But anyways, so this is going to accrue, and it says over here next pay date, and next pay date is January 31st. So on January 31st, I'm going to get however much interest is accrued over here by the end of that date. So that's how it's going to work. And not only is it working like that, but it also has compounding interest. So what does compounding interest mean? It means that, I get paid 82 cents plus or all the interest at the end of the month, but the way it works is this 82 cents is actually added, and I get paid interest on these 82 cents on the next day, and then whatever I earn that next day, I get paid interest on that on the following day. At least that's how Robinhood explains that it's going to be doing things. So I'm not sure if that's exactly how it works. Probably don't care to calculate it too much because it's such a small difference that it's really insignificant. And compounding interest, compounding interest, but if you're compounding, like 2% of 80 cents, I don't really care. Like, this thing has to go on for so many years in order to make any kind of a difference. So anyway, that's what the cash management looks like on Robinhood. So it shows you the annual percentage rate right here, and the cash earning interest 16,900, which is different than the buying power, right? And it shows you the card and the history briefly, and then the account routing number, etc., which is blacked out, thankfully. And of course you can deposit over here. So they've made a little bit of like the cash feature where you can make everything cash happen right here on this little tab, and then they have the portfolio tab. So they've changed things around a little bit. Now the way it looks like on the phone is like this. I've turned down the brightness a little bit so you can probably see some of it at least. So you can see there it says 7,900, and alright, and it says the available margin $1,000, and then recent activity, etc. Alright, so I pressed the button here that I shouldn't have. Okay, so this is the number here, right? It tells you what kind of interest you've accrued so far, and this is the APY, the annual percentage yield, right? So it makes it easy. It feels good actually, like it looks good. This is the history here, and it says report a problem or find free ATMs. And I mean, it looks pretty cool. It's nothing it's a little bit more confusing than the rest of the site, honestly, or the app. It just doesn't look as clean as, let's say, the account tab or anything like that. But it's their first iteration, so I'm not gonna give them too hard of a time. Also, I don't know what's up with these messages. Like, they got rid of the history, and they just kind of made these messages and make it look like a chat room. And this has been in there for a while. It's not the latest feature, but it just tells you things like in a conversational manner, like, hey, you've received a dividend. And then you have options to respond, like, I'd like to talk to someone about, or it's, what's a dividend? Or, yay. And so you have options to reply, and the robot replies back to you, etc. So it always says, like, hey, great news, you got something, or success, you executed a trade, or whatever. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think it makes it any simpler or friendlier, but I'd much rather have like a sleek app that I can just work with. But it's, and if also you can see how they have the cash here displayed on the phone. So this is the total here. You see the cash, how it's displayed down here, cash and margin. You can collapse that or you can expand it. And it says, buying power and withdraw or spend. So the first number includes the margin here. All right. So I'm not sure how I feel about the changes. I think they could be cleaner. I'd much rather have a cleaner app than like one that's looks hip, quote unquote. So that's my opinion on it anyway. All right, so that's what the cash management tab looks like on the phone. If you don't have it, I seen that there's like a million people in line still. So chances are that if you are using Robinhood, that you don't know what that tab looks like. If you're not losing, if you're not using Robinhood, you could. I like it. You get a free share for signing up actually, and I usually include my referral link in the description of the video. So if you want to use that, it would cause you to get a free share and I to get a free share for you signing up. So you can use that if you want a free share. But if you don't want a free share, don't care about it, just sign up for it. I think it's a great little platform, especially for beginners. If you're starting out, it's really easy to understand, and I just enjoy it so much more than other brokerage houses. I've experienced a few of them before I started trading with Robinhood, and once I started doing this, like I really like it. I'm not getting paid by Robinhood, obviously. I'm too small of a channel, too insignificant, and but if they did, no, I would definitely sponsor, or I would definitely take money from them. But anyway, back on topic. Let's see what else is going on here. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the anomaly in the market, right? So here's what I've noticed. Like things like, Tesla are going up like 11%. Amazon went up 11% almost. And, Apple went up like 2, 3, 4%, whatever. So it seems to me that there's a little division here that's going on in the market. Like there's a lot of things now that are going up and down based on their actual relative performance, right? So if they're doing really well relative to other companies, they're actually getting a huge boost because people are just looking for places that are growing that they want to put their money in, and there aren't that many companies that are growing. So what ends up happening is that all the capital collapses onto select few big companies like Amazon, Apple, Tesla, etc. And these growing companies are getting fewer and fewer and fewer, and so they're attracting all this capital there, right? Because everything else is either stagnant or going down, and so there's been a kind of an oversaturation, and it's driving even the price to earnings ratios higher. But what ends up happening too is that these companies, they're using their cash to buy up shares, so now their numbers look better, and capital just keeps flowing in. So I don't know how long this is going to last, but it's a very interesting dynamic that's going on, and it seems to be driving the stock indexes higher and higher and higher. This little mechanic, and this is I just noticed that kind of recently, maybe the last few months, and I'm just wondering how it's going to end, and if it's going to end, or it could just transform itself to something new. Like I'm definitely expecting some kind of pullback because, it's a bit unsustainable, but at the same time, even though it's unsustainable, there's just so much cash ready to go into the market, right? So the smallest little tiny pullback might just attract more capital than you started with, which is kind of what's been happening lately, right? Like for example, I have, I'm not the only one. Obviously, there are many, many big professional, large funds that have a ton of cash waiting on the sidelines. But, there are people like me too that have, 17, 20, 30, whatever, 500, a few million thousand dollars. Million thousand, is that billion? No, yes. So they have a few million or a few $1 billion just waiting on the sideline. Like let's say Warren Buffett, for example, right? He's got 120, 30, or however many, $50 billion waiting on the sideline as well with his company. So that money has to go somewhere, and because there's so much cash, that cash is going to act as a floor, right? The cash is going to act as a floor to this to the market. So as soon as it starts pulling back, it just starts flowing in. Especially if rates of bonds are fairly low, right, across the world, in the most riskless countries. If the yield is fairly low, like for example in Europe, most developed countries got like negative rates or near zero rates. U.S. got really low rates, like a few percent, 1 or 2% here and there. Look, we're getting paid 1.8% on our cash, so it's not that high. And that's the competition of the market, right? And so the market ends up winning because that's where you can get yield growth, you can get, you know, wealth growth and capital appreciation, right? So it's really interesting. It looks like it might not end anytime soon. If it does, I mean, I can't see a scenario, especially with the Fed pumping so much money into the economy, and look now with the repo scandal here, and everything they're doing, there's just so much money in these banksters and these investors that it's hard to imagine a scenario where a big dip doesn't get bought up. That's what I'm thinking, or even a medium or a small dip. There's not to mention, forget the investors, but not to mention nowadays there's so much automated passive investing into ETFs, and the ETFs in turn invest the money into the individual stocks as themselves. So now you have all these workers that they have their 401ks and their Roth IRAs and whatever, and that those money is coming in, monthly, and so any little correction won't last more than a month really. It just could just be like a momentary little flash, and then it will just get bought right back up, because there's just so much inflows into the market. So I mean, I should be more bullish than I am. It's just that I can't look at a graph like this. I mean, look, it's just hard for me to like fathom something like this, right? So let's take a look at the Apple graph. But I mean, we could look at Tesla or Amazon or anyone. I just have a hard time looking at this 1 year chart, or even the 5 year one. But let's look at the 1 year. It's up almost 100%. Just a straight line up, and I just have a hard time like going against my gut here. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, I guess, but it's just the individual charts. It's not the overall market itself. Even though the S&P 500 looks pretty ridiculous as well for 1 year. But let's search up Amazon. I mean, Amazon's pretty crazy. Look at his day chart. It's ridiculous. Well, let's take a look at the 5 year chart. Look at this. Now this chart looks like the Apple one, until you look at the number here. It says plus 559%. Amazon's gone up 559% over the last 5 years. That's more than 100% per year, right? It's really crazy. And I don't see a scenario where it slowed down. But so my rational mind tells me that I should be in, but my gut tells me I should be out. And I'm trying to find some kind of balance. Obviously, I want to go by the rule that I've set for myself, which is to be at least 55% with the account long. But we'll see how long that lasts. Hopefully forever. I don't want to ever break that rule. But I made some videos on it. Anyways, I'm just dragging this video on for no reason. I don't know why, but I've expressed my everything that I had to say. Number one was I gave you the review of the account, sitting at 78,000 something. Two, I gave you what I showed you what the cash management feature looks like on the website and tried to show it to you on the phone, even though it's kind of blurry. I know there's a software that you can show it on screen, but I just haven't set it up. And three, I shared my thoughts on the market overall, the dynamic that I think is going on, and what the likely outcome is of this dynamic, especially if the Fed and the banksters keep the rates low, which they do have the power to do. This might go on for a really long time. All right, I think that's it for now. Peace out.